And here's the final thing. When we talk about standing for you, again, whatever your views on a specific policy, there is maybe no more important issue than how about when you pay your taxes to the federal government. We just had tax day just a couple of weeks ago. How about you have a government that actually takes those resources as what they are? Your sweat, your tears, your time away from your family, and protects every single one of those dollars. And that's what we're doing by going after fraud, finally, in the federal government. And let me just give you a couple of examples. We had let fraud become so rampant in this country that people were able to get rich not by creating something amazing, not by employing something, not by building something beautiful with their hands. They were able to get rich by defrauding every single person in this room. And they were taking money that should go to America's low-income families, to America's elderly, to people who are struggling in our communities. They were stealing it out of their pocket and stealing it out of your pocket so they could get rich. Let me give you just a couple of examples. There was a program in suburban Minneapolis. It's actually a national program, but it was taken advantage of in suburban Minneapolis, where what we do is that we make it possible, the American people in their generosity make it possible for the parents of young children who are autistic to get access to after-school services. And I think that's a cool thing because Americans, we take care of one another. But you know what happened? That money wasn't going to the parents of autistic children. That money was going to Somalian fraudsters because somebody figured out in the illegal immigrant community that if they went around and said that all of the children in a particular household had that particular problem, then they could collect a lot of money from the federal government. And so what happened? You paid your taxes, those people got rich, and the families who needed those services never got to access those services. They were stolen from, and you were stolen from, and your government didn't do a single thing about it until Donald J. Trump and Congressman Nunn came along. What we did is very simple. We went to the state of Minnesota and said, we want you to audit the people who are getting access to these funds. And if you're not willing to confirm that the people who are getting these benefits actually deserve these benefits, then you're not getting another dime of federal money. We cut them off. And that's exactly what we got to do. And ladies and gentlemen, people have asked me, I'm the leader of the fraud task force in Washington. And people have asked me, is that a hard job? And I say, well, let me think. Finding fraud in the federal government, it's kind of like fishing in a barrel with dynamite. Every week, I get a report from the task force. We have our weekly meeting, and I am shocked every single day by the things that we find. Just one of the all-stars on our fraud task force is our great Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins. And Brooke has found out that we've got 355,000 people on SNAP benefits receiving double benefits, that we've got 186,000 dead people getting SNAP benefits, 186,000 dead Americans getting food stamps right now. Now, I know the fake news media is going to say that the big headline from this speech is J.D. Vance proposes that we take away food stamps. That's what they're going to say. I actually think that we should take food stamps away from dead people. I'm guilty of that. I think that's a reasonable thing. I also was talking to Brooke backstage, and she said, you know that there are people who have this is not a joke. There are people who have Lamborghinis who currently receive SNAP benefits. I said, that's interesting. I'm a pretty conservative guy, but I would think that like 95% of the United States of America would agree that if you are wealthy enough to afford a Lamborghini, then you are wealthy enough to not receive SNAP benefits from the American people. Is that common sense? And I could go down and down the list. We just served 22 22 investigatory procedures, the Department of Justice. We went from discovering what happened in Minneapolis to serving 22, subpoenas so that we could go after the fraud that's happening in Minneapolis. And we did that in just 3 months. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, when we find crime, those people are going to go to prison for defrauding you, because that's exactly how it should be.